Hey guys, this is AJ. Welcome back to my channel. And in this video, we are gonna set up a nice little UI for the inventory of our player. And we are gonna have a button over here for inventory. And when the character presses this button, uh, inventory panel is gonna pop up with a scroll bar and everything. And in this video, we are not gonna work on picking up items or equipping them or anything like that. We are just gonna set the inventory up. But this is just the first in a series of videos where I will explain how to work with item pickup and equipments. So right now we can have a inventory pop-up, and when we click this button, it is gonna go away. So this video is basically just setting up the UI for the inventory so that we can work on it later and make a player able to pick up swords or shields. And we can also have some stackable items like health potions, stamina potions, etc. in our inventory. So this is gonna be fun. Without further ado, let's get started. Guys, first I'm gonna duplicate this logout button and I'm gonna name it as inventory button. Now let's position it on the screen. I'm gonna set the pivot X to 1, Y to 2.2 maybe. Okay, let's change the sprite. So I have added some of the sprites for our inventory, a background, a button, and just a box for giving the name title. So we need to select all of them and click sprite UI 2D and hit apply. Now let's place it on the inventory button and maybe give it a brownish color. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, that's fine. These UIs I'm probably going to change in the future. I mean the images. Now I'm going to change the canvas and rename it as game UI. I'm going to create an empty object and call it UI. Now I'm going to child the game UI to the UI, and I'm going to add another canvas so that we got an inventory canvas and a canvas which holds all our buttons and the touch field, all the stuff. For the inventory canvas, I'm going to call it inventory UI. Now we need to set the inventory UI to scale with screen size. Otherwise, when the screen size changes, it is gonna squish all the buttons together, and we don't want that. So I'm just gonna copy paste the components on our game UI because we already set that up to scale with screen size. And I'm gonna set the screen match mode to expand and add a panel to the inventory UI. I'm gonna call it inventory panel. And now let's change the image. I got a cool inventory background image setup already, so I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna set the alpha to 1. Now we are gonna need to resize this, so let's do that. I'm gonna say 1000 on the right and bottom, and I'm gonna select this option, uh, set position X and Y to 0, and that changes the width and height. So let's change it back to 1000 and 1000 again, and pivot to 1.5 on the x-axis. So we got a cool little UI for the inventory over here. Now I'm gonna select a panel again and child it to the inventory panel, and I'm gonna remove the image on that inventory panel. This is gonna be our inventory, and we are gonna add a image so that we can add a title. This is just gonna have a text saying inventory on it, and I'm gonna place it at the top left corner right here. Maybe 100, 300 on the width and height, 100 on the height. Say change the pivot. Yeah, that fits perfect. And I'm just gonna use this as the image for the sprite. Now let's add a text saying inventory. Let's just keep it as text. No need to rename that. And I'm gonna say the text as inventory. All caps. And I'm gonna select this Orbitron black as a font. Now we need to stretch it across the image so that it fits on the image perfectly. And let's change the font size to 36 and give this a yellow color. Will 50 work? No, that's too much. 40 still hitting on the corner, so let's just keep it at 38. I guess 38 is a good font. And I have set the alignment. Now let's click on the inventory, add a scroll view, and we are going to be using this. Now if we hit play, we can see that the touch field is interfering with the scroll view. So let's set the sort order on the canvas to 1 for the inventory UI. Now you can see that we are able to scroll, and if you check the scroll view, horizontal scroll bar is automatically set to inactive. That's because we don't have that much area to scroll through. I mean, we don't have that much items on the viewport to scroll through, so it is on auto hide. And yeah, now let's go to sliding area, and I'm gonna set the color to black. Okay, now you'll be able to see it better. Stop. Now we don't need a horizontal scroll bar, so I'm gonna go to scroll view, uncheck the horizontal, and that doesn't make it go away, so we're gonna need to delete that, and there won't be a horizontal scroll bar anymore. Now when we hit play, this is gonna give us a bug. Okay, that's not the bug. That is because we haven't set the inventory UI to sort order once we are out of the game. So let's do that again. And this is gonna give us a bug because we removed the horizontal scroll bar. Let's first just quickly set the sort order to 1 out of the game. And scroll bar height has been messed up when we removed a vertical scroll bar. So let's change it back. And the anchor as well. So we got a cool vertical scroll bar again. Now let's hit play, and we're able to scroll again. Let's go back to scroll bar handle and change the color to black. Now let's drag the scroll view and fit it to the inventory. And yeah, I think this is a good look for the inventory. Let's do the same for the content on the viewport. This is where we display the items. Basically, that is gonna be the base of our inventory, and we are gonna child all the items onto that. Okay, pretty good. Now we got a small gap. That was because of the horizontal scroll bar being there. Now we don't need that, so we are gonna just stretch it out. And for the content, I think that is fine. Okay. The problem is that once we have vertical scroll bar and the content almost the same size, we won't be able to see the vertical scroll bar. So let's I say increase the content size. And if you see the scroll bars scrolling only till a limited point, that's because the bottom of the handle got messed up when we removed the horizontal scroll bar. So let's change that. Let's just make it -10 again. And let's increase the content area so that we are able to see the scroll bar again. Even when we click play, let's change the name of the content to inventory. And we are going to need to add a grid layout group so that all the items coming under the content kind of positions itself in a neat manner. So we are going to say the cell size is 200 and the spacing between them is going to be 20. Now let's try adding an image as a child to the content, I mean in inventory now. So if we duplicate these, we can see that they are having the size of 200 cross 200 and positioning themselves within a spacing of 20. Maybe let's change that to, I don't know, 25. Yeah, that is better, I guess. Oh, 30. Yeah, even more. Fine. So Let's duplicate this a couple of times, hit play and see what happens. Now if we try to duplicate this, the content doesn't really increase according to the amount of images on childed to it, or it doesn't take the minimum space, but uh, so we are not gonna need to add a content size fitter and set the vertical fit to minimum size so that it takes the minimum space for this variable height when we hit play and keep adding more items. We have added a content size fitter and set the vertical fit to minimum. It's just going to add the minimum amount of space required for the items. I have already added an inventory script to, in this video we're just gonna show and hide the inventory UI. So this is our inventory script and it just says gameObject.setActive false. So in inventory we just got a start method which says gameObject.setActive equal to false, set active to false, which just deactivates the inventory on start. Now I'm adding another method for closing the inventory. Once the player has pressed the inventory button and opened it, so this is just going to be on button.pressed gameObject.setActive false, same as what we did on start. And then fixed it button assigner script, I've already added a field inventory and named it inventory. I have initialized it using find objects of type inventory, just like what we did with the message. And I've added a button. I've assigned a button for that, and I've also made a method to get the inventory from the player controller script. In player controller script, I have a inventory button, and we already got an FBA, so we can get the inventory button using that position from the inventory button assigner. Another important thing we need to do in fixed button assigner is change the number of fixed button list to 7, because earlier we had 6 buttons, now we have 7. So we need to change that. And the inventory button is going to be from the position 6. Now when the when I is pressed on keyboard or inventory button is pressed, we are going to set the inventory to active. Now back in Unity, I have added the inventory script to inventory UI, and on all the players, I have changed the size of fixed button list to 7. It was earlier 6, now it is 7. So we got 7 buttons now. And on the inventory, I'm gonna add a button to close the inventory. So let's call this inventory close, and we don't need a text for that. Right now, I don't have a sprite for this close button, so let's just use the logout button sprite just for this video, and we're gonna position it on the top right corner, set position X and Y to 0, and change the width to maybe 100. Okay, sounds good. Now we need to add a on click button, and on click I'm gonna add inventory by dragging and dropping it and selecting the on button pressed from the script. Now let's hit play. As you can see, I have moved the inventory button over to the left side. That's because we already had a message box there, and I kind of forgot about that. Once we press the inventory, as you can see, we can open up the inventory panel and we're able to scroll down using our scroll view. And once we hit close, it's getting close. So everything's working pretty fine. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up on the video and let me know your thoughts on the comments below. Also guys, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you like this content, because that will be really helpful. Thank you for watching. See ya. Bye.